California University of Pennsylvania. Originally founded in 1852, the university has grown much over the years and has changed in many ways. Really became essential to California University 100 years after its birth was the means of breaking the land barriers which smothered the campus expansion in the borough. As the population grew, the enrollment increased, and eventually it became necessary to devise a plan which would enlarge the campus itself to accommodate the students, faculty, and administration. There have been many modifications of the university over the years, but none could measure up to the dismantling of an entire town to further its progress. The forgotten town of Phillipsburg. Phillipsburg, Pennsylvania was a small farming community which was located directly east of California University, where buildings such as the Learning Research Center, Hamer Hall, and Steele Auditorium now stand. This community consisted of approximately 200 families, which would probably be termed as a village. It had its own grocery store, schools, clubs, dance halls, and two denominations of churches, the Christian and the Russian Orthodox Church. Most of the families worked in the coal mines and the steel mills. Phillipsburg was named in honor of Dr. James Phillips, who originally farmed the broad acres comprising its area.
The man that owned that land there was Dr. Phillips. That's what the Phillipsburg was named after, Dr. Phillips. He lived in a home up on the hill in Phillipsburg. Today, it's a Russian Orthodox church there. They bought it. And people lived there and they were very happy. They had dance halls and little clubs and different stores, little stores. And we lived there very happily for many years.
My name is Mary Elaine Krishma, and I was born and raised in Phillipsburg. And it was just a nice small town. And the people were very nice, very friendly. the people didn't have to lock their doors or anything, that they were mostly coal miners and people working in the steel mills. And they would like to look out for everybody, like the families would. It was just a safe place to live.
Unfortunately for the residents of Phillipsburg, the town was in its twilight years. For in the years which followed, the neighboring university and community of California began to increase in size. From the year 1900 until 1990, the population tripled. As a result, the Campus Comprehensive Plan, which was approved in 1961, projected the use of land in the Phillipsburg area to expand the university and its property. 2 years later, in 1963, the Washington County Redevelopment Authority came in and demolished the homes of Phillipsburg for the purpose of expanding the campus, and the residents were forced to move. Now, some 30 years later, virtually no one remembers the small town except those who had lived in it. Phillipsburg soon became a mere reflection of its former self.
Well, there were a few people who did move to California. Like my family moved up on top of the hill, up on Park Street. But there were a couple that stayed in California. They had lived downtown or up on top of the hill. But most of them moved away. Most of them moved away. And then a lot of the people died too from the heartache. Because these people have lived in these homes all of their lives. I mean, these people just knew their own home, you know. So that was a big shock to them. But most of them have moved away. Really, there was nothing that they could do. Whenever the government said you have to leave, whenever the balls started coming, tearing down, well then it was true that you had to get out. There was nothing that we can do.
They just expanded the college, that's all, tore the houses down. We didn't buy a home. We couldn't buy it with what they give us, so we lived there till they were ready to bulldoze the homes. And then they notified us that we'd have to leave, and we said we didn't have no home. So they built a project up on a hill up above. It's a Zulu Street, way up above the school there. And the government told us that if we wanted to move, we could move. There was new homes up there on the hill. Oh yeah, that's what they fought for. But our home was an old home. We had nothing to fight for. Our home, my husband's father built his home, our home. He was past 70 years old then. So we didn't care whether we give up the home, only we wanted a nice place to live.
In the long run, very few things stand in the way of progress, and Phillipsburg was not an exception. The sacrifice which those 200 families made still lives today, despite the fact that few students realize the rich history on the campus of California University, where one world ended, another grew.
It is still sad because we just thought that they was going to move the college up on top of the college farm and use that land out there. We just didn't think that they would just take out the whole town. But after you're here now, after these many years, I'm getting used to it, part of it now, you know. But it was nice. It was just a different type of people. I think that since the college is growing and expanding, I think it's nice, and they're doing a lot to make the campus look pretty. I think it looks nice. So I think it's probably for the better.
California University is expanding and growing. In the original schematic, which was drawn up to represent the town of Phillipsburg after it was gone in the mid-1960s, it's interesting to note that on this map of the proposed university, not everything was as it seems today. A proposed football stadium was destined to sit where the Learning Research Center now resides. The original Student Union building was almost constructed across the train tracks along the banks of the Monongahela River. And the parking facilities across from Hamer Hall was very close to being turned into a small amphitheater. Whatever the future may hold for California University of Pennsylvania, it's important to note and remember a small town and its residents. For without their forfeit of what they cherished the most, a division of this very university may never have existed. That is what makes this town so important. The small community known as Phillipsburg, the Forgotten Land.